Bill Goldberg arrived to the building in Gainesville, Florida, saying that tonight he is facing Dallas Page for the world title, unofficially setting up the main event for the show, with Nitro opening with a Horseman vs. Armstrong Brothers tag match going 7 minutes, including arrivals of Roddy Piper, who was going over contracts Flair signed during his President run, and Randy Savage entering the building after Flair tried to keep him out with a suspension. Dallas Page was out next to respond to Goldberg's challenge, first sending a message to Hogan, who was about to undergo a legit knee surgery on a day later after writing him off TV with an injury angle last Sunday, before getting to the Goldberg match, saying that he would like to wrestle him but not tonight, immediately bringing out Goldberg to confront him face to face, changing his mind to officially set up the Page-Goldberg main event. Nitro, which saw its rating gradually climb throughout the unopposed hour from a 3.7 to a 4.9 rating in the fourth quarter, had an unusual match coming next, with a four-way cruiserweight title match going a rare 20 minutes on television, one of the longest matches in show history, which Nitro since its debut, along with the Raw format in its rise during the boom period, rarely went to a commercial break or crossed over a quarter with a long match to not let viewers the opportunity to change channels, with WCW as a result completely changing the formatting of the program during the first hour by taking only 3 commercial breaks instead of the usual 5, with Ric Flair and Arn Anderson coming out for the crossover segment at 8:54 p.m., as Flair, despite the recent heel transition, got a strong babyface reaction from the crowd. Flair challenged anyone in the crowd to outdrink him tonight, saying that he's buying everyone a drink after the show, with Roddy Piper coming out to confront him 20 minutes after signing David Flair to an unknown document, saying that Flair is not fit to be president, with him irrationally signing and firing people and trying to make him step down for his own good, as Flair laughed it off, with Piper bringing up Rick throwing his shoes to the crowd and taking his clothes off in the ring, leading to Flair doing it again in front of him while comedically going crazy, accidentally saying that he's the US president instead of the WCW president, announcing that he's changing results of sports games to bring the title back to Florida, setting up Piper booking another major match for tonight with Flair against Nash, and Flair firing Piper from his commissioner role, but only after facing him at the Slamboree pay-per-view with control of the company on the line. After throwing Austin off a bridge last week, Rock opened Raw driving a hearse into the arena 6 days from Backlash, hyping Austin's eulogy, saying that after burying his title and career, he will bury Austin in a funeral later tonight, with Raw having a gravesite near the set instead of the usual entrance ramp for the big angle of the night, closing the promo saying that he's gonna win back the title on Sunday in what is scheduled to be the last Rock vs. Austin match for the foreseeable future, with plans of a long-term program between them changed due to Rock's crowd reactions forcing him to turn, with cameras placed outside the building to track Austin's arrival throughout the night. Nitro, which debuted new match graphics on the night for both the Goldberg vs. Page and Flair vs. Nash matches, opened its second quarter with a Hack vs. Brian Knobbs hardcore match going 7 minutes, along with Randy Savage announcing that he's bringing back Medusa to train George for the match against Robinson, while Raw jumped over 1.2 million viewers into the 6 rating range for a 2-match quarter, first with Road Dogg vs. Owen Hart and then the Acolytes against the Brood. One of the big talking points in the business during the week took place 2 days ago on Saturday in a WWF house show in Calgary, with Bret Hart visiting the crew backstage in his first connection to a WWF show since Montreal in November '97, with one of the most talked about issues coming out of it being a Bret Hart-Earl Hebner handshake in their first interaction since Hebner double-crossed Bret during the match, leading to talks of Bret potentially more open to a return to the company. Bret's visit to the show, which drew a record sellout crowd of over 15,000 people headlined by an Austin and Big Show against Rock and Bossman tag match, also came in perfect timing regarding Bret's WCW storyline of him quitting the company while off television recovering from injuries before a planned return to shoot major angles with Goldberg, Nash and Bischoff. With the first Scott Steiner vs. Buff Bagwell match since the split officially booked for the Slamboree pay-per-view, both cut promos on each other during Nitro's second hour after talks of legit heat between them escalating recently, with Bagwell calling out Steiner for a US title match along with a match against Disco going 5 minutes, while Raw had Undertaker attacking the Acolytes for not getting the job done against the Brood, before calling an unnamed person on a mysterious location to set up the angle for the next hour as Raw jumped back to a 6.1 rating. Steiner came out 10 minutes later for the response promo saying that Bagwell's biggest claim to fame was being a Chippendale dancer and he was never man enough to be in the NWO, saying that he took him out when he was tired of having a cheerleader running around him and nobody came to help him for a reason, giving the match a lot of inside hype for the pay-per-view. After being offered a role in the most-watched show on television in ER while making his movie debut in the Universal Soldier film coming out in the summer, Goldberg continued to do high-profile mainstream interviews after also being shot for the cover story of Entertainment Weekly about to come out, including a 2-page article with Sports Illustrated talking about his football career and the injuries that led to it ending, talking about basing his character watching boxing and UFC tapes while also saying that he considers himself severely underpaid by WCW as its top drawing star in the first hint of the contract issues between Goldberg and the company. A few days earlier, Eric Bischoff did an interview with the WCW website addressing rumors of him leaving the company after taking a vacation in France between February and March, saying that for the last 4 years he was consumed by the business and needed a step back to recharge, and now he's back full-time on the road on every show. Eric talked about the perception of WCW losing on Monday nights, noting that while Raw jumped ahead by creating a new audience to bump its viewership, WCW's numbers still increased from last year and are over a full rating point ahead of '97. Saying that he admits to underestimating the WWF as he didn't think they would go in this edgy direction, but still maintain that WCW as a company will go in a different direction and won't follow it for obvious corporate reasons. Raw jumped over 500,000 viewers to a 6.4 rating at the top of the hour, with a Mankind vs. Triple H match going 7 minutes to end with interferences from the Corporation and Big Show, along with Rock standing outside the building on the phone near his new car to set up the angle coming up. While JR was hyping Austin's arrival for later that would see him drive over cars, Austin himself was involved in a hit-and-run car incident with a driver accidentally running over Austin in a San Antonio airport parking lot on Friday while flying to a house show, with Austin not sustaining any serious injury and working the match as planned on the night. WCW had Scott Steiner against Scott Norton next, with Nash following for a pre-match promo before Flair came out, promising to take out Page for Hogan before hyping a potential trilogy match against Goldberg if he wins the belt tonight. Nitro in preparation for the Flair-Nash match to go uninterrupted, took 2 quick commercial breaks which saw Raw at the same time climb further to a 6.6 rating, having Billy Gunn vs Jeff Jarrett going 5 minutes, Rock continuing to prepare his eulogy, and Big Show vs Viscera with Taker coming out. In an identical format to last week's program that saw the 2 top matches of Sting vs Flair and Scott Steiner vs Page drawing big numbers in the final 30 minutes, WCW again loaded up the final half hour of the broadcast with 2 big star power matches, first with the first ever Flair vs Nash match going 10 minutes. Further pushing towards the turns with Nash working as a babyface and Flair working as a heel, with Anderson interfering throughout and Robinson as special referee, with a match like the Sting-Flair match a week earlier in the same quarter between 10:30 to 45 jumping big to a show-high 5 rating, picking up over 1.3 million viewers to bring Nitro to the closest margin of the night, ending up with Nash going over after George came out to take the referee shirt and count the fall, with the post-match segment paying off the show-long angle with Flair being carried out to an ambulance until it being revealed as a van to take him to a mental hospital for 72 hours. While the Nash-Flair match was going on, Raw had 2 major angles in the quarter, with the first on-screen meeting of Undertaker and Paul White, confronting each other to tease a potential match before brawling to bring out the Ministry and Mankind for the save 6 days before facing each other in the Boiler Room Brawl, and the promoted Vince and Stephanie interview from the company studios, starting with Vince recapping the Shane issues over the last few weeks before being notified that someone parked outside the studio, ending up with Vince running outside and attempting to run him over. After the Flair-Nash match and angle, WCW opened its final quarter by taking 2 commercial breaks in a short period, which dropped the number of the quarter, having Dusty Rhodes coming out as the guest commentator for the main event, with this segment featuring the entrances and first few minutes of the Goldberg vs Page title match. At the same time, Raw had Val Venis and Sable coming out to open the main event quarter, with Sable announcing that after the record sales of the first magazine, which came out just a month earlier, she will be filming her second Playboy shoot in 2 weeks, followed by Rock coming out for the hyped eulogy with Austin yet to arrive in the building. Rock was reading his prepared eulogy burying Austin before eventually revealing himself wearing the smoking skull belt in a swerve of him not really throwing it off the bridge last week, giving the final hype for the Backlash pay-per-view just as Austin arrived in the parking lot with a monster truck, with the quarter shooting up big with over 1.4 million viewers to a quarter-high 6.9 rating. Page and Goldberg went 10 minutes in the main event title match, with Nitro going 6 minutes past the top of the hour, after their memorable match at the Halloween Havoc pay-per-view, including drawing the still highest-rated quarter in history a day later when replayed on television. Goldberg and Page put on another strong performance, and even going against the massive audience on Raw, the match gained over 1.2 million viewers to a 4.4 rating, ending up with Goldberg having the match won until Page took out the referee to bring out Nash for the save to close the show and complete the Page heel turn. Raw continued past 11 p.m. with one of the most memorable segments in show history, as while Rock was ending the promo in the ring, Austin ran over both his new car and the hearse inside the building, with this segment jumping further to a peak 7.1 rating, ending the show with a wild brawl, and both Rock and Austin laid out 6 days before the Backlash pay-per-view, with Shane holding the title, as Raw overall remained at near record levels with a 6.1 rating.